Hey, you beautiful souls. How are you? This week, among I think probably millions of people, I had a pretty interesting soul test. So, Hurricane Melissa passed through Jamaica, and I think it went through two other countries as well and devastated so many more. And I had a beautiful soul test this week because by the time it happened, I lost contact as well as millions of other Jamaicans with their families back home because obviously everything was out. And I had a choice to make within my feeling of losing control. Do I activate humanity or do I sit and worry, worry and wait until I hear from my family? What do I do when I'm seeing all these things happening to my country? So the idea was activate humanity. That's what it needs. So even though you haven't heard from them, activate it now so you can be a part of a movement or something that's helping back in the country. And it felt really good. So that was a very interesting soul test. And I'm sitting here as today when I activated the last humanity movement I think I could have done today, giving back to the country by resources that are already there on the ground. A total stranger through a friend of mine sent me a 32-second video of my parents' home, my childhood home, and it was still intact. And in about 2 seconds of that video before it ended, I could see my father, who's 90 years old, walking in the back of the yard. He has no idea. And I thought to myself, oh, thank God, I'm so grateful. Does that help the rest of the country who's had complete devastation? No. Does it help those who's lost their home and lost families, who's passed away because of the effects of the storm? No. But you know why I'm here? In gratitude. But Jamaica does not only need prayers now. This is what I've learned this week. It also needs people. We need people. We need activation. We need human emotion. We need to know that help is coming and help is staying when it does. And a promise also to ourselves as Jamaicans, the tenacity that we have, that we stand to rebuild, and this time really do rebuild our way, ensuring that we are standing for sustainability. I want you to remember something. I was watching a video today of a gentleman speaking, and I didn't hear his words. I felt him and I felt how broken he was. And he said it, he acknowledged it that I'm not very strong mentally now, but I'm speaking for my community. I almost tore myself to pieces of how compassionate he was to do that. And it's so overlooked. I want you to remember that there already existed a mental health crisis before the storm came in Jamaica, so many other countries. But I speak about Jamaica today. I want you to remember that majority of the people were still stretched beyond their limits before the winds arrived. So now imagine emotional exhaustion layered on top of physical loss. Having physical loss, and you already were exhausted as a human being when this man spoke today. I was watching this video on one of the social media things. I felt him from where he was, and I thought to myself, we need humanity in motion. We need human beings activated, people activated, where I'm just going to give because I can. So, what does Jamaica need now? It needs resources. Yes, obviously, it needs rebuilding. Jamaica needs a lot of psychological support because there's so many people who can't see the light at the end of the tunnel now because they barely were seeing it before, and it feels as if there's no light left. So as we activate humanity, we also need food because there will be complete food shortage. It needs leadership with accountability. It needs shelter, yes. It needs medicine, healthcare sector. It needs so many dynamics, but most of all, it needs, I say repeatedly, humanity activated. Because you see, there are farmers who lost not just their land, because the lands are still there, but they didn't just lose crops and animals, they lost their only means of survival, their only means of sustaining themselves and their families. We have business owners who worked their whole lives building something that was washed away in one night. And don't talk about the families, especially middle and lower class, beautiful people, don't worry, be happy people, who lost their homes and their memories, and they lost families who lost their lives during the storm. Do you blame God for this? I don't see I don't see why that would be relevant now, because I see this more as a moment for us to stand firm and be the hands of kindness and love. So this is it. This is the opportunity to express that love must be visible, not just I love you with nothing behind it. That neighbors must become families, and that as we go through the cleanup, I want you to remember that when you speak about this beautiful country, Jamaica, remember that small islands, they carry big hearts. And it's a lesson that was profound, and I needed it this week as I look on these news reports that keep showing the same thing, and you have to, because it's the truth, it's a reality. I think you're missing something, though. Something we must not overlook. When you report about Jamaica, I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that in the midst of the devastation in Jamaica, what I witnessed, and you probably did too, but maybe you never got a chance to feel what it meant. Jamaicans came out and participated even during the storm, risking their lives, opening their doors to help others who were flooded out. They were the first ones to come out and start to clear the roads. Obviously, it's their roads. They opened their homes to people sleeping on floors because they've added more than their houses can handle. But it's my neighbor, so now what they've done is turned a stranger into family. If that is for me, that's humanity. This is a Jamaica. This is what I want you to remember. So when the world reports about the destruction, please don't remember to report about the love. And while we are upside down and in a hissy fit, and most of us haven't heard the voices of our family for 2 days or more, as we think about how we reprogram, as we think about how we go through this beautiful phase of rebuilding, because it cannot be atrocious, because if it is, then we aren't creating a world that's better. We have an opportunity to really build something cohesively beautiful together as one cell, as humanity. So I ask you, if you can donate, donate. If you can be a part of putting resources together or be a part of a movement, if you can pray, pray. Don't just pray for one person. Pray for the homes. Pray for the land. Pray for the community. Pray for the people. Pray for the country. Pray for the leaders, the people who they are elected, the leadership for accountability. Pray for the people's mental grace and rebirth. So even though it seems devastating, they can see one plant in the mud and the muck that decided, even though I went through the storm, I will rise, I will grow, I will be something bigger and better. So you can see still the abundance in the turmoil, because you will rebuild. And as you go through that, rebuilding doesn't happen with silence. I heard this a long time ago. I think it was between Israel, and I found it profound. So rebuilding doesn't happen in silence. It occurs in movement. So human beings activated, not just for Jamaica, for all the countries who are going through any kind of devastation. Sometimes it hits your door for you to, wow, let's speak up. Well, I've always spoken up. But there's so many other storms that will come, so many other devastations. And what matters is, how did you react to it? Did you add light to it or darkness? So Jamaica, look about with Talawa. We need help. We need activation. We need human beings. So every one of you who can share something that you have, share it. You can give prayer, give it. You can smile with somebody who's frowning, do it. Be kinder just because, please. We need people. We're one cell. And as much as we call this destruction and lives has been lost and lives has been shattered, there is a beautiful rose somewhere in the patch of thorn that is opening tomorrow morning just to show you that life, once you still have breath, is worth living. Let's get activated. I thank you, as always. Do what you can from where you are. Love, send healing. Be a shoulder to cry on for a coworker you may have who's affected, who's thousands away from their families and they're not there and they feel they need to be. Boots on the ground. Whatever you can do and be. Humanity activated. This is, I think, the most profound lesson we can take out of a devastation, just is it not? Because that's all I've received all day. Humanity activated. And I kept wondering, what do you mean? What do you mean? I've got it. This is for you. We will rebuild. We will rise. And this time, in hope, in grace, in compassion, in prayer, in love. Bye.